hope that this goes live this time. There it goes. Oh, hold on. It says we're going live. So, okay. So, sorry, guys. Mr. Sarcastic Nerd. Miss, if you would do me a favor, I did post this in Twitter, and I did post this in the Couture chat. If you'd help me by go ahead and doing a retweet on that stuff and tell other people if you would, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm not sure what happened. We had this set up just right, and I did the same thing I did just now, except I just set up a new stream. But I did the same thing that I did with the first stream, and don't know why the first stream didn't work. So we got this one going. So we're going to go ahead and restart this Gospel According to Chris. The same thing that I did with the first stream. And then we're going to go ahead and I just want to tell you, I'm Chris Knight, the Surreal Review 3000, and now this is the Lonely Banter. Go ahead and tell them who you are, where they can find you, all that fun stuff.
What up? I'm LB. I'm on YouTube at the Lonely Banter, Twitter, Lonely Banter, and all the other social medias, Lonely Banter. I'm glad to be here with Chris, and he's going to be spitting the gospel to me. So glad to have you all here to listen to a Lonely Man banter.
Yeah, I call it the Gospel According to Chris. It's just kind of a play on words. What I like to do is have different people on here, and we talk about different things. Today's subject is a little different than anything we've done before, which is sports. We're going to do some predictions. We're going to do maybe move into some movie talk, considering the sports world. So we'll get into that in a minute. But I know we already talked about this, but we're going to start over since nobody heard it. Go ahead and tell everybody. We're going to talk some NFL first, since the NFL preseason just started technically a couple weeks ago with the Denver Broncos in the Hall of Fame game. But let's talk NFL. Who is your favorite team? What are your predictions for them? Go ahead and tell everybody out there.
We could talk about cookies, talk about pies, we can talk about snacks, we can talk about whatever tonight. Like right now, I'm drinking wine, so we can talk about that too. But my team's the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Why? They're not the local team because they're about 75 minutes away from Orlando, but they're the closest team to Orlando. So they're my team, and growing up, and I still can't like the Miami Dolphins because the Miami Dolphins colors are absolute garbage. And when I started watching football, the Jacksonville Jaguars went around. So Tampa Bay was all I had. I mean, I could have been like a lot of Orlando people who like Cowboys fans, Packers fans, Steelers fans, or whoever's the Super Bowl champion. But no, I'm not like that. But yeah, the Bucks are my team, man, forever. I rep them hard, no matter what. We haven't been to the playoffs for 10, 11 years. Haven't won a playoff game since we won the Super Bowl, which is in 2002, 2003 season.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, I'm still there with them, through thick and thin.
I tell my kids all the time when they first started going to school, the Chiefs weren't doing all that great. And I'm a Kansas City Chiefs fan here in Kansas City. Go figure, right? I always believed in this mantra here is that no matter what your home team or the team that you like is doing, stay true to that team. And if your team's Tampa Bay, no matter what they do, that's the right thing to do is stay true to that team, because that's what a true fan does. They're fair fans and all that. I waited 30 years for the Kansas City Royals to win another World Series. And I watched that game 7, or what was it? Game 7 against San Francisco, where we lost by like 1 or 2 runs, whatever it was. And we talked about that for our whole season, our whole winter, about they should have just ran for home that day and whatever. But, the next year we came back, we won the World Series, but I understand that, a lot of that stuff happens. So 5-11 last year, we already found that out. You told me that. What do you think they're going to do this year?
Well, we got a new coach. Got a whole bunch of new coaches. We got a new head coach, Bruce Arians. He brought like 30 coaches in staff. I think we got the biggest staff in the league. We got a new defensive scheme. We're running the 3-4 defense. Todd Bowles, his defensive scheme is very aggressive, exotic blitzes from all over the place. So that'll be nice to see, because the past few years, the past 2 coaches actually, our defensive schemes were basically bend, don't break.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not working when you with the NFL rules now you can't touch the quarterback. So you need to be able to hit the quarterback, and we ain't had that in the past few years. So our defenses have been absolutely terrible. And when you have a terrible defense, ain't really much winning you can do in this NFL. So hopefully the defense can step it up and turn it around, and hopefully Jameis Winston can lead us to the playoffs for the first time in many, many years. A lot of Tampa Bay Bucks fans don't know how it feels to win a playoff game.
It's always good to have a new teams and recycled teams or people that haven't been there for a while. We're going to add Sean real quick here. Bring Sean in here. So, I mean, I know how it feels. You know, we past few years, the Kansas City Chiefs have done a wonderful job. The bend don't break defense, and it worked so well for us in the playoffs. You know, as soon as Patriots got the ball in the overtime, I was like, "Yeah, that's going to be bad." I said, "It's over," and it was. So that happens too. But maybe this will be like the Royals were in 2014. They lost, but in 2015 they won. So maybe we'll get there this year. I don't know. So let's talk about teams. I mean, Tampa Bay could make it to the playoffs this year. They could very well. But let's see here. Who would you say are most likely to go to the playoffs in the NFL? Let's start with the AFC.
AFC, Patriots, Chiefs. Depending on Andrew Luck's health, probably the Colts. Who else? The Chargers, maybe. Pittsburgh, they'll make the playoffs. A lot of people are using Cleveland as a second pick because they got Odell Beckham Jr. and they made a couple of other moves, and plus they came on strong at the end of the last season. So I don't know. I don't know about Cleveland, but so what we got? Pittsburgh, Kansas City, Chargers, Patriots. So I got to pick one more. I don't know. I don't know about Baltimore. Jacksonville will make the playoffs this year. So yeah, those 6 teams out of the East Conference, I think. Yeah, so those will be the teams I'm picking. So.
Yeah, I know. I know a lot of people are high on Cleveland, but I don't know. I just don't think that. I'm not sure if they're really going to move forward this year. I know a lot of people like him. Trying to think of the quarterback's name now.
Baker Mayfield.
Thank you, Baker Mayfield. I know a lot of people like to draw comparisons to him and Patrick Mahomes, but I think Mahomes is more composed. I think Baker Mayfield gets a little too rattled. I know he's emotional. I don't know if that's emotional from just being rattled or if that's just him and his drive to win. I just know watching him last year in a lot of the games that he seemed to really take it personally when things didn't go the right way, which is okay for a quarterback. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I think that that's going to be a hindrance to him, though. That's my take on that. I mean, I think we got a rare pick when we got Patrick Mahomes because he's ballsy, but he also is. I don't think he's over confident. I think he trusts people on his offense and stuff. And last year didn't bite him in the butt too many times, but I think he learned a lot last year, and I think he's going to go up. I'm not sure about Baker Mayfield, though. I just don't know. I think when you start putting as many number ones on a team as Cleveland has, that becomes a problem because, as they say, there's only one football to go around. So,
yeah, I mean, Kansas City, it'll be interesting because the league now has tape on Patrick Mahomes, and we'll see if he grows as a quarterback and learns from mistakes he made last season. So, but he looks the real deal. I mean, he won the MVP. So,
yeah, there's the Madden curse also, though.
He's on the cover of Madden.
Yeah, well, when they put him on the Madden cover, everybody thinks the Madden curse is going to get us. I think so. We'll see about that. So, let's go to NFC. Who do you think is going to make it in the NFC?
All right, before we get this, so They're saying I'm frozen on the YouTube stream.
It looks like, yeah, you are.
Am I frozen when I'm talking to you in the StreamYard?
Yeah, it's frozen too, and I just noticed that. But it's still coming up. Still frozen. But it's like a still shot, so I mean, it's not. It works.
I guess that's good enough. Well, all right. Well, let's see. NFC, Dallas at the NFC East, NFC South, Saints, if Aaron Rodgers is healthy, Green Bay will make the playoffs. Seattle, and then let's see, we need a wild card. So let's see, need a wild card. The Rams will make the playoffs at the West. So
you think
Rams, Seahawks, Cowboys, Saints, and Packers. I need Rams, Seahawks, Packers, Cowboys, Saints. So I need one more.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, so many teams in the NFL. Let me look.
Philadelphia gonna make it again?
Philadelphia. I don't know, man. They're gonna have to show me something. I'm not really sold on Carson Wentz.
No.
Let's see. I'll say Minnesota.
Minnesota, yeah. You know, did they make it last year, or did they just get in?
I think they missed it they missed the playoffs on the last day because they played Chicago. Yeah.
Okay, but they were in the year before and almost made it to the Super Bowl, right, or the championship game.
Yeah, and they lost to who did they lose to? Because they beat the Saints and they lost the next game. So they lost to, I don't even remember. Probably I think the Falcons.
Yeah. No. So yeah.
Now my camera's not showing. What's going on here?
Now it isn't. That's weird. That is definitely interesting. I think StreamYard's is having problems today.
Yeah. Well, Thomas Gilkey says Patriots are winning the Super Bowl. I don't bet against Tom Brady and the Patriots. So if they win it, I'm not surprised. But
I never will bet against them. I just hope they don't. That's all I'll ever say, and Thomas, I know that you are up in that neck of the woods and that all of you guys have been infected with Brady-itis, but the guy cannot, unless, honest to God, I expect, and I make fun of this every year, I say that he's a human cyborg, and they have like 15 copies of him. And when they get ready for the playoffs, they're like, okay, which ones are the best ones? Which ones don't have, bugs in them? I say all the way through the year when they're playing, and he has a bad game. I says, that's one of the bad. There you go. Back up.
All right, I'm back.
I think that whenever he's playing the regular season, he has a bad game. He ends up basically that's the bad cyborg. That's the one that's not working right. So they have to throw him back into the stockpile and get him fixed up, and then they bring out the new one. He's been great. I mean, you can't say anything. But you know what? I think they just gave him another long-term contract, didn't they?
Yeah, he got a 2-year extension, but it's basically a 1-year thing.
Okay.
So,
year to year.
Yeah, basically.
Chris,
we got to pay increase now.
What was that?
You're echoing.
I don't know why.
I'm bad luck.
Yeah, LB's fine. I can see him and I can hear him, but you're echoing all of a sudden.
Mara Jade says Patriots suck. Well, Mara Jade, they've won 2 of the past 3 Super Bowls, 3 out of the last 4 or something. 6 Super Bowls. I don't think they suck, buddy.
That's interesting. I hear the slap back. Give me just a second.
Okay, so it's my show.
No. I think it's you. I'm getting mute yourself, Sean. Testing. No. Huh.
It's just
Mary J said they cheated.
Oh.
I hear you.
Yeah, they cheat.
I hear you. Maybe the best player in the NFL, Aaron Donald, should have sacked Tom Brady a few times in the Super Bowl.
Huh. Well, I don't know why it's doing the echo, but we'll have to deal with that.
You're not echoing to me.
Yeah, I'm not sure what it is. So. Okay, we'll go on. So, what's your favorite sport? Let's do that. What's your favorite sport? NFL, NBA? What is it?
My favorite sport is the NBA, but to be honest with you, I don't really enjoy. Well, the past few years I haven't enjoyed the NBA because, like, with the Golden State Warriors and Kevin Durant signing with the Warriors, it basically ruined the landscape of the NBA. Like, it's essentially a super team already there, and then he added the cheat code, which is Kevin Durant. So it's like there was no other teams had any chances to win. Like I always said, the only way someone's going to beat the Warriors is if Kevin Durant get injured and one of the other players get injured. Because even without Kevin Durant, if they're fully at strength, they're still the best team in the NBA. And like we saw in the finals, Klay Thompson got hurt. Kevin Durant was hurt. So that's how Toronto pulled it off. But yeah, our favorite sport is the NBA, and I'm really, now that Kevin Durant has moved on to the Brooklyn Nets and Klay Thompson is out with a torn ACL, it's like the balance of power in the NBA has shifted and a lot of moves were made. So it's going to be really exciting to see what teams in the NBA are going to be the ones making it to the finals this year. Because for the first time in years, we don't know if it's going to be whatever team LeBron James is on or the Golden State Warriors in the NBA Finals. So it's really exciting. It's brought my excitement back to the game.
What do you think of the Lakers?
What do I think of the Lakers? That's what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, the Lakers, they traded for Anthony Davis, and it's a good move, but I'm cautious about them for a few reasons. LeBron James is a year older, so how long is he going to be able to play at a high level? I mean, he missed a bunch of games last season. He no longer plays any defense, and Anthony Davis, he's always hurt. Like, there's always lingering things with him. He's always leaving games, missing games, and he's never been into, like, hey, he's never had a playoff run. Oh, so yeah, I just heard the echo. Yeah, he's never had Anthony Davis never had a deep playoff run, so it'll be interesting to see how the Lakers, those two mesh, and if they can stay healthy. Because I mean, if they stay healthy, they'll definitely be in the run. But they gotta prove it. Like, Anthony Davis gotta prove it, man. He's always hurt. Decent games. I mean, yeah.
What do you think about Toronto Raptors? Do you think they're going to make it again? Or
nah, Toronto, they won't make it back to the finals because Kawhi left. Kyle Lowry's a year older. Like, their core right now are older. Like, they're all early, mid-30s. So they'll make the playoffs, but they won't make it back to the finals just based off the fact they don't have a player of Kawhi Leonard's level to be able to elevate them to the finals. Yeah, so yeah, they'll make the playoffs, but finals ain't happening for them. Definitely not.
do you think that was lightning in a bottle with them?
Say that again.
Do you think that it was lightning in a bottle with them?
Yeah. I mean, the GM, he made a very bold move as far as trading for Kawhi, and they went for it. Like, they got him for a year. They knew it was going to happen. They won the title. So at the end of the day, they lost him, but they still won the title. So, and that's the ultimate prize in sports. So I mean, it paid off.
Yeah, actually, I watched that. I was out in Vegas. I watched that, and I was like, I thought, this is amazing. The way it happened, it seemed like Golden State would have this surge at the beginning, and then by halftime, it started to change. and then the second half would be like all Toronto, and it was just crazy. So, I mean, I know a lot of people wanted to see that, and a lot of people were happy to see that, and it was good for the sport to have somebody different in there. So that was a lot of good things. Like you said, when you split that team up and give us a whole bunch of people going to different teams, it helps spread talent across the league, and that makes it the best that it could possibly be.
Yeah, man, it'll be real fun. But like I said before, like no one knows who's going to win the title for the first time in years. We don't know what teams are going to make it to the final. Like there were so many moves and transactions made around the league, and a lot of teams improved. So it's going to be fun to see what teams are going to be in the run for a title this year. Because I mean, the unknown is great, and parity to me is great. Like nobody wants a super team like how Golden State was because there's no intrigue to it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Are you an NHL guy?
Yeah, I watch hockey. Yeah, I watch hockey too.
You into the Lightning?
Yeah, I'm a Lightning fan. Like I don't talk about hockey really that much. I don't have too many people. Actually, I don't have any friends in real life that like hockey. So like all my hockey talk is through people online, and hockey is probably my weakest sport as far as the knowledge of the game. But I do enjoy watching. I've been to a Lightning game and like, man, I promise you, like if no one's been to a hockey game, you gotta go to a hockey game at least once. Like it was so much fun to go to a Lightning game. But right now, I'm very heated with my Lightning. Like, what a collapse in the playoffs, man. So I'm just like, whatever with them for now. Like,
yeah. I love hockey, but it's a much better sport live than it is on TV. Now, I don't buy the fact people are like, "Oh, it's so hard to see it's so hard to follow the action." With today's high definition and all that, that's crap. I believe it's a well transferred TV sport, but it's definitely that if you've never seen a live game, it's something you need to see. So,
and the thing with hockey is, I think why people say it doesn't translate to a lot of people is because you can't take your eye off of it. Like you have to watch it constantly, because just like that, somebody can score. Something can happen. It's not like other sports where there's a slowdown in pace at times, and hockey is just constant go 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 because they're switching lines so often. So yeah, I mean, I don't know why people say hockey's boring, but I can see why, because a lot of people, they don't want to sit there and keep their eyes on something the whole time. They want to be able to look at their phones or laptop, tablets, or something else. But man, everyone got to go to a hockey game once. It's quite the experience in life, in person.
Yeah, it is. All right, we're gonna see here. I'm gonna ask you, is it echoing? Why you guys
echoing now?
Now it is okay. So what I'm gonna do real quick, Sean, why don't you jump in here? I'm gonna get out and come back in. I'm gonna get out completely. Okay.
Well, I think I'm going to.
You what?
I think I'm echoing too.
Okay. So give him just a second, and I'll be right back.
All right. We're on a commercial break.
Yeah. So what's going on, LB?
Not too much, man. How's it going?
A little echoey, but other than that, I'm pretty good.
Yeah, I wonder why it's echoing.
It has to be StreamYard thing, I would think.
Man, StreamYard be tripping, man.
Yeah.
Well, what can you do?
Well, I mean, everybody could go with Streamlabs, I guess, or OBS.
Okay. I think we have no more echoing. Is the echo gone?
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. Streamlabs has thrown me a lot of curveballs today.
Yeah, it definitely has. But we'll make it work.
Yep. Okay, so we talked to NHL. How about baseball? You a baseball fan?
Yeah, man, I'm a Braves fan.
Ooh, now we're going outside of the state.
Yeah, I mean, at the time, there wasn't any baseball teams in Florida.
That's true, and there still probably shouldn't be.
Yeah, the Rays.
Did you hear? I think is it the Rays or is it whatever Miami calls themselves now. The
Marlins.
is it still the Marlins?
Yeah, it's still the Marlins, Miami Marlins.
One of those two teams was talking about going up to Montreal for
Yeah,
half.
that was the Rays.
What?
Yeah.
And this is something really funny, because if everybody remembers the Montreal Expos, and disaster they were the last few years they were up there. They took the Expos away and they made I think it was the Washington Nationals, right? That came in after that, and so they had talked when they were going to do this that maybe they would keep the Expos, and the Expos would actually play half the season in Montreal. And then if I do remember right, they were talking about spending either half the year in Washington or possibly Florida. And now here we are again, talking about it again. It's like, it seems really weird because both the Marlins and the Rays, or whatever they want to call themselves now, are both having a problem generating interest.
The issue with the Rays is this. They call the Tampa Bay Rays, but they play in St. Petersburg. And St. Petersburg is not close to Tampa. Like, for people that's in Orlando that are Rays fans, if they want to travel to a Rays game, they have to travel 2-something hours to get there.
Yeah.
So that's a problem. Like, and it's a problem for people in Tampa too, having to drive to St. Petersburg to go to a baseball game. And they've been trying to get a stadium built in Tampa. Like, they've been trying to get plans of having one by the Lightning's arena. Mm-hmm. And plans keep falling through for some reason. And I guess this is the latest scare tactic from the owner to say, hey, we'll leave if we have to. It was like, I mean,
so he's threatening to leave Tampa Bay, but they're not in Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. And a lot of people's excuse is, well, if you're a baseball fan, you'll go to the games. Well, no. If my team's called the Tampa Bay Rays, I shouldn't have to drive 30, 40 minutes to go to the stadium if I live in Tampa.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Patriots being in, not in Boston, but kind of just everywhere.
Well, I think they really need to ask themselves, is Florida baseball more or less exciting than Galaxy's Edge?
And another issue with, I think it's the Heat too. Well, no. That would be the Marlins.
Yeah, but because
man, the dome is ugly, man. It's terrible.
Is it? Yeah, but it's the Rays playing Tropicana, right?
Yeah,
and that's a crazy, weird, whatever you want to call it. It's more like a barn, I think. It's metal. It's got a short roof. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know. I'll tell you what it reminds me of. I've seen some Japanese ball, and it reminds me of some of the stadiums they play in there. It's just weird dimensions and all that. So, I mean, they've got a lot of weird things going on, and I know it was supposed to be just a temporary type thing, and that, as time went on, they were there. So,
yeah, man, it's just like, I don't know why they can't get a plan for a stadium. Like, build a stadium that's 25, 30 at the most. Put it in the downtown Tampa area. There are places in that area that you can put it in, man, and it will help. And it's like, for example, I don't know why. I mean, I don't know if it's just me. I don't know why like they keep scheduling baseball games like during the day. Like, people go to school and work. Compared to like when 50, 60 years ago when baseball was the number one sport, it was more easier to take the kids and the family to the game. But now tickets are so expensive, man. Like, I look at tickets for when the Rays sometimes come to the town to play the Rays, and man, tickets for Rays games, the parking more expensive than the ticket. The food is more expensive than the ticket.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you can't just go to a game and spend $20. You spend over 50.
Mm-hmm.
So,
until the Royals actually got into the series again in 2014, you could get a Royals ticket for like $10.
You can get them for $10 now again.
Really?
Yeah, truthfully, I tell people I don't know what we have this area called the Hy-Vee section, and Hy-Vee is a local, Midwest grocery chain, and they have what they call the Hy-Vee section. Everybody's got it. The cheap section, some company sponsors it, and you buy tickets for anywhere, probably depending on the team, $5 to $10. I think it's $10 right now here in Kansas City. But you pay that, and it's so dead right now. From what I've heard from a couple of the ushers I know out there, they're just letting people go down to the lower levels. They let I think 2 or 3 innings go, and if once that's done, go on down because they much rather have the people down lower.
Yeah, man. Attendance is a big issue right now in baseball. It's a number of issues. I think one is the pricing. It's not cheap to go to a baseball game anymore. 2, to be honest with you, the style of baseball that's played today is bad, and
it's just not exciting, man.
Like everything in baseball is home run or strikeout.
Yep.
There's nothing else involved, and it's just like, okay, we like home runs, but we don't like to see 20 strikeouts a game, nothing else, or a home run. And then not only that, I don't know if the players are just not as good hitters today as they were back then, but everything like for defensive schemes, they do shifts. So like literally they'll shift the whole entire defense to like the right side of the field or the left side of the field or the middle, depending on the analytics of the hitter. And the hitters can't hit the ball to the opposite side of the field where the defenders aren't. So it's like, yeah, man, I honestly, I don't like watching it. Like compared to how I used to, it's just like, man, it's boring.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Most definitely. I mean, I think that my father said it best for a long time about baseball as soon as they started adding all the expansion teams, is that it's hard to have the talent that you had in baseball when you had, let's say, I can't remember how many it was at one time, probably like 16 teams, like 32 altogether. And now they're up to like 40 something. It's hard to keep the talent into baseball when you split the teams by so many, and when you have so many people that that talent gets watered out. So before, when you'd have 2 or 3 good players on a team, and almost every team, you now have maybe one guy that you can consider decent talent, and now also with money and no cap, people can buy the team. I think that's one thing about the NFL that's important, is that the salary cap is there, and it requires teams to make the hard decisions. At some point, you have a really good player on your team, but the rest of your team sucks. So now the question is are you going to pay this guy the $20 million he wants for the next contract, or is it better to trade him the year before, get some picks for him, have a bad season, get a number 1 pick, and start rebuilding your team with a lesser pay, and then find a couple mid-tier players that can come in, at least shore things up for a while until your talent that you might have starts building itself back up, and then you even out the playing field. Because you
remember back in the late 90s and early 2000s, it was the Yankees all the time, and unless you could afford to compete with their roster, you were kind of SOL. And that's just I agree, that's my issue with baseball these days. And it was just a fluke that the Royals actually had the team in 2014 and 15 to actually go to the series and compete, on the big stage. And you see, from 2015 to 14 to 15, we lost a couple players, but from 15 on, they said, "Oh, it's going to be a building season." It's been building ever since.
If I can remember, at the time they had a real good farm system, and they started to have a good season, and then they traded. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think they traded a lot of their farm system to get better players around the deadline. And they mortgaged the farm for a World Series, and failure. I think it was them, or it might have been the Reds. I don't remember, but that was a long time ago. But like, how do you win a World Series and then just disappear again?
Exactly. I mean, people, I don't know, man. The Royals went back to back 14 and 15, and that's just unheard of for like a small club like that these days. So I don't know why couldn't they figure out how to balance the salary, and keep the team, because it's just less exciting, and that's why we're having attendance issues, because unless you're a team that has like a pitcher like who was it, San Francisco in 14 that had Bumgarner, unless you have a Bumgarner that can strike every batter out for the most part, what's the point? And we would have actually, I still maintain we'd have actually won probably that series if it wasn't for that one player. That was the one reason out of everybody, because they put in all kinds of pitchers, like when Bumgarner was not scheduled to pitch. And I remember one game we were like nailing the ball over and over and over, and they brought Bumgarner in even on his off night.
I think that was the last game when we lost, because
I think so.
We were down to 2 outs, and then Alex Gordon hits a ball, makes it to third base, and many of us believe he could have made it to home. And if he had made it to home, we would have tied at that point. And that's the 2020 thing, the hindsight. And like I said, the next year, the thing I realized about the Royals was it didn't matter. They might get thrown out at home, but they were going for it. They were never going to make that a question of if we had gone for it, what would have happened. They went for it. You had now I can't remember his name. Eric Hosmer. Yes. Eric Hosmer stole home, basically. I mean, they were doing all sorts of crazy things during the playoffs. Yeah. I mean, down 2 or 3 games to Houston. I mean, but then they just, something about that team, they would not give up. They were like,
yeah. The playoff games in 2014 were probably the most exciting baseball I have seen since before they striked in the 90s.
Well, the thing about that for us here in Kansas City was in 14, we were just positive we were going to win that year, because we swept the American League Series completely. We didn't lose a game. And then when we went in, I think we won the first game against we lost the first game against San Francisco because Bumgarner was in there. But then we won the next 2, I think it was. And, we were certain we were going to win. So the next year when we got there, they lost like 2 games in a row against Houston, and we're all like, oh God, here we go again. And then then we saw what they were doing. It was like they get right up against the ropes, and they were playing that rope-a-dope like Ali used to do, have them up against the ropes, and then they just start hitting and hitting and hitting. Next thing you know, we won. And it was amazing. I mean, from a standpoint of a fan, so, but I think that I kind of do wonder if they implemented a salary cap, what that would do to baseball. What do you think, LB?
It would prevent these stupid contracts that players are getting 10 years, $350 million, and then these players start getting in the upper 30s, like say Albert Pujols, and they're just terrible on bad contracts. I mean, when they added the luxury tax, I mean, it kind of killed the Yankees from doing what they used to do, which was whoever's the top free agent, we're just going to buy them. But I don't know. I mean, I don't think there's really an issue with balance of power in Major League Baseball. I just think it's more of the issue of the gameplay and then the pricing of attendance. Because, like I said, man, it's just not fun, like watching players strike out entire games or hit home runs. Like baseball is a sport. Like, I want to see strategy.
Yeah.
Like, and plus they're doing too many things to cater towards, and I hate to say it, the millennials. They're trying to speed up the game so fast, whatever, and they're just changing fundamental rules instead of, hey, pitcher, you can't keep stepping off the mound 20 times, or hey, batter, you can't keep winding up and getting prepared to hit 50 times or going to 20 commercials a game. Because, I mean, like for example, like Greg Maddux, he used to throw complete games in under 2 hours.
Yes.
That's one thing that's just crazy that's changed about baseball is, when like Sean and I and you were growing up, when we first were watching baseball, that's when the closer started, and you didn't even have a setup guy back then. You had your starter that would go like at least 7 innings, if not 8. And if he didn't give you an 8, you started questioning his ability. But lots of times they go 9, and the only reason why you put that closer in is because, let's say it went to the 10th inning, you start going like, okay, we got to use this guy again here in 3 days, because you had a starting rotation of like 4 people, and you had maybe a pitching staff of 10. Now you have a pitching staff of, I don't know, 15 or so, and it's like, and you're pulling your starter out. If you get through the 6th inning, it'd be surprising to see what happens if a starter goes, to the 7th inning these days. I mean, they do it occasionally, but
it's rare.
Yeah, so baseball again, that talent has gone downhill, and now we're watching. And my dad would completely say this these days. Now we're watching what would have been considered AAA ball back in the early 80s.
And man, AAA ball is actually more exciting than some of this.
It is. And, there's nothing wrong with that. So,
but like Fatal J said in the chat, you want to see exciting baseball these days, watch Japanese baseball.
Can't say I've ever watched the Japanese game. So why is it more exciting?
Well, there's just it's just the way they play the game, man. There's the drive and a kind of like passion for the game that I think that North America has lost.
They have they've got small stadiums, so it's a lot quicker paced. If there's a ground ball, it goes back. There's a lot of defense in it. There's a lot of I don't know.
If you go past the 11th inning, you break the tie by a sumo wrestling match.
I know that don't happen.
So yeah, they got that one guy that's 500 pounds on the team, and they're like, "Okay, 11th inning, get out there." And they go out in the middle, right there on the pitching mound, and they put their circle around it, and they're like,
"That's their closer."
Yeah. So okay, well, we talked about pricing. Now, NFL has gone to it. I don't know about the NHL. I don't know about the NBA, but baseball and NFL have gone to what they now call flex pricing, which is, in my words, how they're going to gouge you for every penny they can. So Kansas City Royals aren't that great of a team this year. They've won 43 games or something like that. So their ticket on an average is worth $10. But when the Yankees come in, or the Cardinals come in, or Boston comes in, or Atlanta comes in, these bigger teams that have better records, now we have a reason why we can up that price, because now you're coming to see a good team play against your bad team. And this has caused a lot of problems, if you ask me, because now I go to see my home team, which isn't that great, but I have to pay because the other team came in here.
Yep, they do that in all sports, man. They raise the prices when the better teams, the more popular teams come. It sucks, but it is what it is.
It is. So you're a WWE fan.
Yeah, man. Watching Raw right now.
Yeah, cool. So who's your favorite wrestler?
All time or right now?
Let's go with right now.
I don't have one.
Oh. Well, then that was the wrong question.
Yeah.
All time.
All time, my favorite is Bret Hitman Hart.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, no, that. I liked him. Of course, Hulk Hogan, Andre the Giant. I grew up with that. Sean, did you grow up with that?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Well, who was your favorite?
Oh, jeez. I think it would be easy to say Hulk Hogan. But there was so many greats. Randy Savage was awesome. Hulk Hogan. Later in life, The Rock. He kind of redefined the whole thing for me. And then the last time he was in the ring, well, one of the last times he was in the ring, he threw a guy across the ring just with one arm, and he ripped up something in his abdominals, and he had to go and get surgery immediately afterwards. That's the type of beast that dude can be, But yeah, it's just it's fun, and I think that's kind of why I like Netflix show Glow. It's based on the gorgeous ladies of wrestling back in the 80s. It never went over really all that big, but it's scripted like wrestling is, and it captures some of that. The show captures some of that '80s wrestling kind of camp that you don't really have anymore. And but yeah, I really enjoyed growing up with it. It's again, like any sport, wrestling has changed a lot, and I don't really know that I care a lot for the modern wrestling. I mean, the last time I really saw wrestling was when I paid for SummerSlam back in like 15, I think. That's when I was actually still really into it. But since then, man, it's just not really exciting me.
Yeah, I mean, I like John Cena, and The Rock. I mean, I know The Rock isn't really in it anymore.
No.
But
what LB? What do you think about?
Huh?
What did you think about the whole situation when they removed Hulk Hogan from the Hall of Fame? I think he's back now, but they removed him.
Yeah, now I mean, I thought it was dumb, man.
What'd they do that for?
Because he was taped saying the N-word or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, from like years and years ago, I think.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, they just doing that for PR spin, but like, yeah, he's back now. He's on TV every now and then. He still does like promotional stuff.
Yeah, and I knew that was not going to be a permanent thing. It was just ridiculous.
It was like, why y'all doing it? Y'all know he's gonna be back in a year. Like, what's the point?
Like you said, it's publicity spin. I mean, and the WWE is some of the best people at it. I mean, as ridiculous as sometimes it is to watch it, you have to really appreciate what they're doing because it's a monster. I mean, it's they have this uncanny ability to keep going and going. When you think about people like me, you and Sean, who watched it since the early '80s. And how it transformed to being, like we talked about earlier, regional, being a Midwest region, a West region, a mountain region, all these different regions. And then the WCW, the WWF back in the day, which if you ask me, the most ridiculous thing that ever happened with wrestling was when the WWF, the World Wildlife Federation, came out and said that World Wrestling Federation could no longer use WWF. I'm like, where were you guys 15 years ago?
Yeah, I know. Like, I still have a hard time acknowledging that it's called WWE these days.
So I think that might have been another promotion hype thing, is that it was this way of rebranding themselves, but having an excuse for it that kind of brought light to it again. Oh, they're changing their name. They're doing this because of this or whatever. But they have this constant ability to remold themselves into something somewhat new. And you got to honor that. I mean, it's kind of amazing how they do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's still very kind of like soap opera in a ring, just not quite as good. There's not as many spectacles as there once were,
Right.
And, but I guess that you could not have like old school wrestling these days. Maybe it just would not match today's culture.
Mm-hmm.
Too scripted for me, man.
Yeah. Scripting was brought into it, in the 80s, but it was kind of more outside of the ring.
Yeah.
Then they started bringing everything into the ring. So now, they get up there, they do their speech about, hey, next week on this on, Monday Night Raw, I'm going to do this to this guy and then this and this. And the next thing the guy's getting attacked from the back. And now we have this 15-minute brawl for nothing. So we've got 3 matches. I mean, I think that was one of the things. Also another sport that I miss is boxing. Boxing's gone by the wayside too. I mean, there's just no talent that I care about in boxing anymore. Everybody's gone to the WCW. So I hear that you're a big fan of athletes who have gone to movies, LB. Somebody told me that. I think it was Sean, actually. He said,
I believe he's not a fan of athletes going to movies.
No, I can almost positively say that he said you were an absolute fan of that.
Yeah.
So what is?
I don't remember for certain, but I thought he may have mentioned something like that.
I don't remember, but I mean, as far as that, it's like I don't mind people anyone could do it. You feel me? But it's like, man, put the work in to be an actor.
Yeah. Like the Rock is actually truly improved, I think.
Yeah. We talked about that one night. Like,
yeah,
put the work in. Just don't use like a lot of models. Oh, I want to be an actress, so they use modeling to become an actress.
Yeah.
You could tell they're not working towards being an actress. Like they just, oh, I got a movie role. All right, I'll read these lines. I'm cool. Like they don't have it. And for me, that's with everything in life. Like if you're going to do something, put your all into it. You know. And I mean, some people just aren't built for certain things, but like with acting, you can tell it's just not the number one thing for a lot of people, especially like athletes, because they don't improve. Like I don't know if y'all heard of Roman Reigns, but he was in Hobbs and Shaw.
Yep.
Yeah, he was the Rock's cousin in the movie or whatever. Like John Cena, like from the movies I've seen, he practically plays himself, but I've also seen that he's improved as an actor with the more roles that he's got.
Yeah. He's still kind of the John Cena character, but he's improving that.
Yeah.
Well, I think he's still early on in his acting career, like when The Rock was like that. The Rock was very much The Rock whenever he first started. And as time has gone on, he's learned to I think, people will, rib him about his ridiculous roles as the Tooth Fairy and things like that. But I think he took things that he's like, no, it's a change. It's something different. If I can try to act this role, if I can act this role, I can act any roles. And in all his failures, he has learned how to be a better actor. And I will say, I think he's doing a lot better. There's still a very raw edge to him, but he has definitely gotten better. And I think John Cena is on that path. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if John Cena personally talks to The Rock about how did you pick your roles? How did you get into this more? Because I honestly believe John Cena is like The Rock is wanting to get away from wrestling completely. He's gone and he's doing Are You Smarter Than the Fifth Grader? And there's rumors that he's going to be in the new Fast 9. So, if that's the way he's going, then I think he's doing that because he wants to get away from wrestling. And that's how The Rock did it. The Rock doesn't need to go back to wrestling now.
No.
If he goes there, he's going to command whatever price he wants just to show up. He doesn't even have to wrestle now. He can just come on the stage, scare somebody away from the stage for 5 seconds, and then walk off, and that'd be the last thing you hear of him for 5 years. And he's going to make a buck or two. But, but he's tried to get away completely from it. So, like you said, athletes, especially like football stars, Terry Bradshaw, O.J. Simpson, and them. It's like it was just a way to, I guess, make money after the fact. Terry Bradshaw, while I love Terry Bradshaw and he's a hilarious guy, he can't act at all. He just cannot pull it off.
No, he can't.
And
I think he even knows it so much that he makes fun of himself because of it. But
I just wonder, like, how does this happen? Like, are these people, managers and agents, reaching out to movie studios, or these studios are reaching out to them like, you want to be in our movie?
Yeah, man. I mean, they're looking for. I think these days you can probably maybe blame some of this on the whole MTV thing, because MTV for the first time you were seeing your band and your group instead of just hearing them. So then they started going for style over substance, and with all the models that are being cast and stuff these days, they're going for style over substance again. It's kind of going back to that whole thing, and it shouldn't really matter what granted, I guess, to be on screen and to maybe be a leading man or a leading lady or leading whatever your preference is, I suppose. You have to have, like, you can't be like the Elephant Man, these days, but you don't have to like be absolutely 100% attractive as long as I think you're a good actor.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, Trying to think. Have you ever seen that show The Rock got called The Ballers?
Yeah.
It's called Ballers, right?
Yeah, Ballers. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they do a good job with how they mix in the athletes and stuff into that because it's more so of a real life type thing, right?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you have that like real life or close to reality, like they did, what was it, or Replacements, where they used a lot of guys who weren't NFL players, but they were all like a lot of them were ex college players, the extras and stuff. Anytime you do that, it's enough believability in that those types of people can easily act in it. But you just don't see drama roles. I would still be surprised if The Rock took a drama role, like a honest to God drama role. Give him 5 seconds in a movie, a short scene in the movie with some drama, he could pull it off. But if you gave him a whole movie, he wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah, man. I mean, The Rock I see as very much the modern Arnold Schwarzenegger of action films.
I think The Rock has finally found his lane as what movies work for him and doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, I wish a lot of actors would do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, because some people can't do drama, some people can't do comedy, some people ain't built for action, and some people ain't leading actors. But, Tessa Thompson.
Yeah, dude. I mean, you put 2 supporting actors in a movie, you don't have a leading actor in the new Men in Black, and that was the biggest issue, in my opinion.
That's always an issue, and I think we talk about that a lot. About one of the worst things about Hollywood right now, they just don't look for the actor that fits the part. They're looking to fill like a quota of some sort. Well, a quota or an image,
or an agenda or what have you.
I think exactly. It's a hand-in-hand thing. The agenda says, we have to have an Asian actor in this movie, even though it doesn't take place in Japan. It doesn't do anything about Japan. It isn't about Asian culture in any way. But we need an Asian actor. So who do we get? Well, let's just find somebody.
Scarlett Johansson.
I think the big issue with a lot of movies is, especially when picking leading roles, is a lot of these actors don't have the it factor. They don't have the charisma.
Yep.
And that's a problem, and it shows like with selling ticket sales. Like Robert Downey Jr., he was perfect for Iron Man. Like you got Chris Pratt, like he's great as Star-Lord as long as you keep him away from doing drama.
Mm-hmm.
Like some actors just have it, and I mean even with Chris Hemsworth, like he looks the part. He's tall. He's a good-looking man to people, but I just don't see him. I don't gravitate to him as a person. Even when he's Thor, like it took them 3 movies to figure out the character.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even know if they figured out Thor in Ragnarok completely.
Right.
It would not surprise me if they actually give us the Thor that we should have had in the Love and Thunder movie when Natalie Portman becomes Thor. They saved the actual Thor that we've all been waiting for the female.
That's sad.
Which I don't. Whatever, I guess, but
I think the problem is that they don't allow these actors and actresses to actually find their niche. They put them in parts that they don't belong in, and they continue to put them in parts that they don't belong in until their career is so far along, they don't know how to find the right movie. They've never been given that chance to find their niche and the right thing. Like you said, The Rock has found his niche, but then again, The Rock is probably one of the perfect things to happen for action flicks because it fits a demographic. It can help with their agenda because of his background, but he doesn't play to that. But he's the right actor. That's the key there. It fits all of their boxes, but he is the right actor for those parts. And in time, if you spend the time to find it, if you spend the time to cast people properly, Hollywood can still have their agenda, but find the right actor for that agenda. I'm not necessarily saying that you can't have a female lead in Star Wars, but find somebody who can actually play the part and doesn't come across.
Well, I don't think it's Daisy Ridley, man. I think it's the way they've written the character.
The way it's written, there's that too. But for instance, Brie Larson, they couldn't find anybody better than Brie Larson for Captain Marvel. They could. They just didn't want to sit down and take the time to work and find that person. I don't care if you put a female lead in something. I don't care if you have a diverse cast. Find the right people to go in there, and then that gets kind of covered over.
Yeah.
If you have people, and again, like Sean said, writing is important too. The way you cast and the the script writing are the two most important things for a movie, and they're not doing either of those right now. So
I agree.
So, what do you think? What do you think about? Have you seen Hobbs and Shaw? No. Oh gosh, we can't talk about that then. We're not going to ruin that for you. What do you think about the? What do you think? What do you think about the split between the Fast and the Furious and this branch? Because it sounds like this is going to be a ongoing thing. They're going to leave these two separate.
I just think it's a way for them to do their cinematic universe and make more movies, because you can't put out a Fast and Furious movie every single year.
Yeah.
So this is just another way to do a spin-off, and I'm pretty sure The Rock played some backstage politics with like, look, man, look, this is what I did when I came into Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
I made the numbers go up. I need my own movie now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's
really to make more money.
Yeah, Fast 5 made a butt ton more money than like the last couple of Fast and Furious movies before it. It was dropping.
Right.
So,
but, I could understand if that's what he did, because it's like, all right, why am I making team up movies with a bunch of people who don't bring in money? You know, when I could do this on my own. Because I haven't seen the last I saw the first one with him with the Rock in the Fast and Furious, but I haven't seen the other ones. So from what I heard, correct me if I'm wrong, but this movie kind of doesn't follow the continuity of the other movies.
Yeah, that's right. It's very much its own animal.
Yeah, in the last movie, Statham's character and Rock's character at the end of it, the way it plays out is that they're maybe not buddy, but they understand each other a lot better and they're respectful to each other. This one throws that out the window completely. But I will say, when I first started watching, when I went to go see this, I was thinking, what's the point of doing this? What's the point of pulling this out of the series and putting it on screen? After the fact, Sean will attest to this, I think this is the perfect move. I think this puts two great characters and two actors and separates them from another group that's been there for 8 movies now. Most of them have been there since the second one. And it separates it. So now those people can go back to what they want to do. And these two guys can go and do their own thing. And I think it was the perfect and the right move to do.
Yeah, it removes the Rock's shadow, over everybody else.
Yeah. And that's perfectly fine. I don't think that there was an issue. I know that Tyrese had done some tweeting to The Rock saying, hey, dude, don't release your movie before Fast 9 and all this stuff. And I don't know. That it all comes back to the fact that they kept making the Fast and Furious movies after Paul Walker died for his daughter. So his daughter had some money coming in and stuff because Paul Walker's estate still gets some of the rights to it. And that was a big thing. They wanted to keep doing it to kind of help her out, and that they felt that he would do the same thing if anybody else had left or died or anything like that. And so this is just another way to do it. So I don't know why anybody would complain about it. This has the Fast and Furious tag on it. That means some of the rights go back to her, and it's whatever. I think too many people look into the politics of this. Whatever the reason, it was the right move, I think.
So let me ask you this: I know it's The Rock and Jason Statham, but the Rock the main character of the movie?
No,
Okay.
It's a pretty even.
it
So
is.
it's a buddy type thing.
It is. And Sean, when he first saw the trailer, said, "Oh man, this looks like Lethal Weapon." I'm like, no, God, this is nothing like that. Unless you want to say buddy cop movie, a buddy movie. It is that very much, and it's done well because it doesn't start out like that. They did the right thing to kind of pull back from their the way 7 or 8 ended, with them kind of burying the hatchet with each other and understanding each other's past. That still comes into play in this movie. You still hear about those things. So they did keep the storyline. They just kind of still kept that tension that was in the other movies. So by bringing that back into play, it helped their characters bond in this movie. And I mean, Sean, would you say they bond?
It is very much the Fast and Furious trying to rebrand, like into like a superhero genre, because I mean Idris Elba is very much like the golden age Superman, except for, well, down to even the fact that he couldn't leap tall buildings in a single bound, but he can't fly. I mean, he is basically, like he says in the trailer, he's Black Superman.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically a superhero movie now.
Kinda, yeah. I mean, I don't know how you could not kind of compare it to a superhero movie, but I mean, not in a bad way.
No, Elba did a great job in this movie. After I got done watching this movie, I even told Sean this. I'd be okay with him becoming the next James Bond. I'd much rather see that than trying to make James Bond female. I was really taken aback by how well he did in this role.
Man, after I saw like the second Daniel Craig movie, I was good with the rumor, even like a long time ago, with Idris Elba possibly being Bond.
Well,
I think he's a better actor than Daniel Craig.
He might be. I like Craig, though. Craig fits the character. He does. He's moody. He's brooding. He's not that personable. That's what James Bond is in the books. He's a depressed guy that kills people just to keep his life exciting and drinks all the time and immerses himself in cheap women. And that's what Bond was in the books. He was a depressed, aging agent. And if you ask me, Daniel Craig pulls that off fine. But he's gone. He's done. This is it. When he's done with this, he's done. And Elba would be the perfect replacement for him, honestly. What do you think of that, LB? Do you think that would be a good move?
Nope.
Nope. Who do you think?
James Bond is a white man.
Okay, so you see, and I understand that.
Yeah, but I mean, I see where you're coming from, LB. But I mean, if James Bond can be a black female, he can be a black male or an Asian.
Well, that rumor that they put out, she wasn't or isn't going to be James Bond. She's going to be 007.
Well, yeah, but I mean, this is the first
time I was saying.
The first time they've separated 007 from James Bond, though.
Well, that's because the way they're doing this movie is that James Bond is going to be retired. The number then gets recycled. It goes to her. And that supposedly, this is what I've read, supposedly she bungles a job or something and he has to come back in. So he'll be James Bond. There'll be a 007 then too.
Yeah.
I think that what they're going to do is as soon as this is done, they're going to go. I think it's going to tank. I honestly think this is going to tank what they're trying to do with this. They're trying to soften Bond and what he is. He's a womanizer. He's a drunk and he likes killing people. That's what he is. That's what he'll always be.
Because the long-standing rumor with James Bond has always been, since we've had rotating actors, over all these different movies, is that 007 was the James Bond identity. So all these different people may have come in after the previous person who was the 00 retired, and they just assumed the identity of James Bond 007. So this just kind of blows it all out of.
It does. I like I said, I think it's going to tank, and then they'll just pick it right back up after this with another male actor. And I understand I understand your point, LB, with it being a white man, but I I think if I had a choice between a female, if they were to continue to try to go down that route, or Elba, I would much rather him take it over than a female. I mean, and that's
Ideally, I would rather have them put James Bond on the shelf for about 15 years.
I'd be okay with that too. I mean, or 5 years or so. Find the right actor, give it some time to rest, and then
I think the franchise has been oversaturated. I mean, there haven't really been big gaps in time like between all of these movies. I mean,
it never has been.
Yeah, and so I think maybe we've reached a point where there's just too much James Bond. All of the good stories have been told. Maybe we need a little reflection on the character, to see if we actually miss the character, which I'm sure we would. But
go ahead.
I think maybe some time out of the spotlight would do the character good.
I would be okay with it. I'm sorry, LB, go ahead.
No, that's all I was gonna say. That's it.
I've always wanted them to find one actor at a young enough age, 2021, that they could go and pull like the top 10 stories of Bond films and have one actor do them all and reimagine them. I think because some of the stuff from the 60s could be done better today because they're not like artfully written movies. They're just action movies. So I think that they could lend themselves to being redone fairly easily. But, well, with that, we've been going for about an hour and 11 minutes. And I think that we'll go ahead and wrap it up. LB, I appreciate you staying with me and going through all the issues that we went through today. Like I said, I'm going to write Streamlab after this, or not Streamlab, not them.
Hey, I call it Streamlab all the time, but the names are so similar, man.
I'll contact StreamYards about this. I already put in the last one, and they said, "Did you have a good experience?" I said, "No." Live. How could I have a good experience?
Yeah, man. I think if you're going to be like the number one alternative to Google Hangout, you should probably have it together a little bit better.
I know everybody's saying, "Oh, but it's beta. It's beta." You know what? I've played games that were beta that are basically the same thing when it goes live.
Dude, I have the newest Android operating system, and it's beta, and it's less buggy than this.
Yeah. So I don't know. But, LB, why don't you go tell everybody again where they can find you, what you're all about, and yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Chris and Sean, having me here, and it's been cool, like talking about stuff that's not Star Wars.
Yeah.
We
try to change things up.
Yeah, it was cool talking a little sports here and there. That was pretty fun. But everybody who's watching and watched or will watch, you can find me on my YouTube channel, The Lonely Banter. I'm Lonely Banter on Twitter and all the other social media. So if you like hearing what I had to say, you can hit my channel up and check out some of my videos. Man, I talk media hypocrisy, entertainment nonsense, the dumb news out there in the world. I react to trailers and talk MCU, Star Wars, and all that stuff. And I'm almost at 5,000 subscribers. I think I'm like 22 or 23 away. So if you want to check me out, go ahead. If you like what you see, subscribe. I appreciate it. Thank you all for listening to me for an hour and some change. I appreciate you.
And Sean, why don't you go ahead and tell them about you? I appreciate you being around here. You know that, even though I give you crap all the time. But I'll tell you what, guys. Sean started his channel before we got going on the Real Review 3000 because I was taking too long to get into this. And, Sean kind of pushed me into coming on here. And now he's really helping me out, making sure I get this content out and stuff. So I do want everybody to know that Sean's a real integral part of what happens here at the Real Review 3000, even if you don't see him on screen with me a lot. It's because of that guy right there that you get the content you see and all the other stuff. I really appreciate, you, Sean. So why don't you tell them about yourself?
Well, I guess now I just have to say, yeah, you can find me at Sean Stackhouse Reacts on YouTube and Sean Stackhouse on Twitter because you pretty much just sing my praises, and how good I am. So we'll go with that.
I really do try to give people compliments. I try, So why don't you guys stick around for just a second? We're going to go ahead and do what we call the Wheel of names, and this is the wheel of names right here. It's gotten a little smaller with names, so what we're going to try to do is check and make sure certain people who might not be on here want to be on here.
Wait. Should we have Black Angus on there still? Because he was just on there. Like,
see, I didn't realize it didn't take him off the other day. Yes, let's do that. Reality.
and Rob is in here.
Yeah, Rob. Oh wait. I bet I know what's going on. Hold on. Let's do this. Let's open up the wheel of names. There we go. That looks much better. How about that?
Take me off, man.
Wait a minute. What the heck? Okay. All right. So here you go. This is the old wheel of names. The other one you saw is the new wheel of names. So that just proves to those of you who have been on the show that your name is on another wheel of names. When we get through people, we'll eventually get back to that one. So we are going to spin this. And Sean, I know that you're on here, but there's a point at that because you and I have so many things we could discuss that we argue about all the time. And I think people would think that was hilarious.
Okay.
All right. So here we go. We're going to spin this real quick. And look at who it picked. Hoff Solo. How about that? No whammies, big money. You hit it, sir. Good job. We're going to remove your name from that one. We'll put you on the new wheel of names. And the wheel of name has spoke. And with that,
he's in the chat, so he knows. He's rebranded his Hoffcast.
Hot damn. I know he is. That's why I said big money, no whammies. That's why I said no whammies. You won the big money. So all right. I want to thank everybody for coming and watching. And I'm Chris Knight. This is the Real Review 3000. Thank you, LB. Had a great time. You're a great guy. Go check the channel out. It is in the description down below. Sean Stackhouse is here too. Check him out. He's a great job. Does a great job over at his channel. Thank you, everybody, for coming in tonight and watching us and all the comments. I appreciate it very much. And everybody, you can have a nice day. Say bye, everyone.
Take care.